if you haven't practiced with me before, I'm just gonna do a little overview of the type of yoga I do, just in case there's anyone new. It's a blend of yin yoga and therapeutics, and it's a down-regulating practice that just allows us to eliminate stress in our bodies. So there are 3 rules with yin yoga, and that is, the first one is that you come to it with proper depth. So if we think about intensity in a yoga posture, you would want to be at a level 5 out of 10 intensity. So the way we prop ourselves up with the blankets and whatnot are what help us to stay in the pose for a period of time so that it's comfortable enough. So if you keep that in mind, the other rule is to stay with stillness in the pose, because it allows the fascia to open and allows your body just to tune into that one bit of stress that you're putting. Like if we're stressing in the hips, we're just focusing there and we're not stressing on any other part of the body. And so by staying still in it, that allows you to really work on that fascia. Yeah, so a favorite quote of mine from a master teacher is that we don't use our body to get into the pose, we use the pose to get into our body. So does that make sense? And with that, let's settle into our practice. I'm gonna start again with another tapping exercise. I like to just settle with some sort of sensory thing to start, and I'm going to introduce our new one today, which is called emotion EFT. It's an emotional freedom technique, and it's been proven to help with stress and pain relief. So just bear with me and let's try it together. It's going to be a quick overview of it, but if you like it, you might look it up and see if it can help you. I know people are feeling quite stressed and in this time and cooped up, so let's see if it helps us today. So we'll tap on different meridian areas in the body, and what this does is it signals our brain, specifically the amygdala, to release that fight or flight response. And in the same time, we'll sort of talk it through, and that kind of brings in the modern psychology element to it, to just release the stress from the body. So first of all, we'll just settle, take a deep breath. Inhaling and exhaling, another one like that. All right, so just tune in and see where you can find some sort of discomfort in the body. Maybe it's stress, maybe it's pain or tension of any sort. Just close the eyes and try to find that. Notice where you're feeling it. And so when we recognize the stress, we basically name it to tame it. So we're going to just tune into that. We'll start by tapping. You can open the eyes. We'll start by tapping the karate chop area of the wrist. So just tapping there. And you can repeat after me out loud or in your head. I'm just going to say, even though I feel stress in my body, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I feel the stress in my body, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I feel the stress in my body, I deeply and completely accept myself. And now we'll move on to the points on the body, starting right where the eyebrow, at the end of the eyebrow between the eyes. The stress in my body. And now moving to the outside of the eye, tapping 5 or 7 times, the stress in my body. And under the eye, the stress in my body. And at the base of the nose, the stress in my body. And beneath the lips and above the chin, the little crease there. The stress in my body, and underneath the collarbone, either side or both, the stress in my body. Under the arm, about 3 inches below the armpit, the stress in my body. And last one, the top of the head, the stress in my body. And releasing, close your eyes. Inhaling and exhaling. Another deep inhale here. And exhale. And then keeping the eyes closed, we'll just tune into the breath. Just noticing where the body expands and how it softens. You don't need to do anything to adjust the breath, just breathing. The body breathes on its own. And at any time today during our practice, you can just come back to this breath, being mindful with it, noticing where the body moves. Allowing yourself to center. And place the hands over the heart and softly blink open the eyes. All right, so we'll move into our practice. Let's start seated today. You might want to switch the cross if you've been sitting that way. And we'll just start with rolling. Just going in one direction, opening up the hips a little bit. See if you can go a little bit deeper each time. One more time this direction, and we'll switch directions. And then pause in the center. Let's do some side bends. Just moving at your own pace here. You can go with me, or you can move faster or slower. See if you can get a little deeper with each side. And let's go one more time through like that. And then we'll pause in the center, and let's take a twist. You'll place the arm out by your knee, using that knee to open up. And then come back to center and go the opposite side. And back to center. I've had a request for a wrist stretch, so we'll do that. Take the hands to prayer. Bring them down to the sternum until you feel a deep stretch in the wrists and the forearms here. And then we'll, keeping the shoulders completely still, we'll move over to the right side. And then back over to the left. And one more time like that. And then hand extends out, and you're pulling back on your fingers. And then down. Opposite hand stretches back. And down. And then we'll just roll the wrists a little bit in one direction and the other way. All right, let's move on to our backs. We'll do a little more gentle opening before we start. So coming onto your backs, just bring the left knee into the chest and then extend it long. And then again like that, just dynamically opening here, extending long. One more time. And then this time when you bring it in, we'll hold and squeeze it up into the armpit. And then bringing the opposite hand on top of the knee, just keeping the hips on the ground, but stretching that hip, the knee across, just until you feel an outer hip stretch, just a little bit. And then release, we'll do the opposite side. So dynamically bringing the knee into the chest and extending it 3 times. Last time through. And then you'll pause and bring it slightly across. And extending. And then bringing both knees into the chest. We'll grab the outer feet or the shins for happy baby. And we'll make it a dynamic happy baby to butterfly. So bringing the soles of the feet together and then bringing them out wide again for happy baby. Dynamically here. Loosening up the joints. Staying with your breath. One more time. And release, placing the feet mat's distance or wider. We'll do our windshield wiper, going with the knees to the left, back up to the top, to the right. Nice stretching the psoas. Keeping at your own pace. We'll go through 3 more times. And then the next time you get to the left, we'll pause. And then you'll have the option, you can stack the bottom foot on top of the knee, but it hurts some people's knees. So if it hurts your knee, you don't do it. You just stay in this to the side. And then if you stacked, you'll release, come back up to the top, and we'll go to the opposite side. And again, you have that option. Both sides are different. You might try it and see how it feels. If it doesn't feel good, you just release. And then if you bound, you're going to release and bring the knees back up to the top. Now we're going to do a little hamstring stretch. You extend the right leg long as your low back feels okay today. If your low back doesn't feel good, keep the knee bent. So right leg long or bent, left leg extends, and we just clasp our hands behind our leg. Now if you can't reach, just grab your strap and put the strap behind the leg. If it's causing your head to come up, just grab the strap. We're just going to hold here for a couple of breaths. And now let's bend the knee and extend while holding. So another bit of dynamic movement here. Noticing how that feels. Does that feel different? How's the body reacting to it? And then the next time you extend, you hold again. And we'll start to do a little ankle work. So just turning the ankle from side to side while holding. And pointing the foot up and flexing the foot down. And now spinning in the socket, the leg. And then release the leg down. Pause for a moment. Just tune into the difference in the legs. And then we'll start to extend the right leg up. And again, if you have a low back issue, just bend the knee, the left knee, to support the low back. Clasping behind the leg. And if this side has trouble reaching, just grab your strap and you'll hold it behind the leg. Holding here. And then starting to bend, our dynamic movement, bending and straightening on your own time. Last time through, then we'll hold again at the top and we'll do our ankle work on this side. So just starting by turning from side to side, the ankle. And then pointing the foot and flexing. Point and flex. One more time. And then spinning. Spinning the leg in the socket just a little bit. It doesn't have to be extreme. Last time, release. Let the legs meet together. Take an inhale. Exhale it out. And we'll roll up to seated for our first pose. So coming to seated, the first pose we do is going to be a seated butterfly, which we have been doing. I'll just walk you through how to prop it again. You can take your blankets. You can either, if you're feeling stiff today, you're going to roll up your blankets like a little tube, like a half tube like this, and you're going to place those under the knees on each side. If you're feeling more open, you're going to take your blanket out wide and roll it up like a long tube, like a long spaghetti noodle. You'll take it, place it over the tops of the feet, and then back around by the hips. And then that allows the legs to be supported, but a little more open. And then the position of the feet is completely up to you. But in yin, typically, we won't have the feet coming very close to the groin because that's very intense. You want them to be out a little bit further from the body. So that just allows us to stay in the posture a little bit longer. And then finally, your pillow, I have this kind of yoga block pillow. I'm going to place it at my feet. Now, everybody's different. Some of us will be way up high, and that's enough stretch in the legs. Some of us are more open and can come way forward. And like for me, I like to just rest my head a little bit and then relax into it here. So that's where your pillow can come in handy to help prop your head. It allows you to relax a little bit further into the pose. So I'll set my clock while you guys get yourself set up and comfortable. We're going to hold this for a minute and a half. So take a breath and get relaxed into it, starting now. Slowly start to release and come out. Move your props out of the way. And maybe extend the legs long. Take some dynamic movement just to release that. I like to just pound my legs a little bit. You might like to bend the knees and go from side to side. Just take a little transition. The next pose we're going to do involves the strap. And I'd like for you to refold your blanket so that you're sitting up on it, just for a little bit of comfort. So fold your blanket like a square and just kind of just sitting on it. We'll have a cross-legged position to start with the strap. So taking the strap wide, we'll just do a little bit of arm mobility with the strap. So we're stretching back, and I like to start small and end big. So we'll just start with small movements back and forth evenly, and then slowly come forward so that you're evenly back and forward. And if you have more tension in the shoulders, you're just going to take it wider. And if you want more stretch, you'll come closer with the hands. And then just eventually coming all the way forward and all the way back. And taking that through, let's do it 6 times through. Breathing with it. Going at your own pace. And I think that's about 6. So we'll pause at the top and just do some side bends with the strap. So using the tension of the strap to stretch in the side body. Going from side to side, any pace that works good for you. We'll go one more time through like this. And then we'll pause at the top and just use the strap to rotate. So twisting here. And last time through. See if you can go a little deeper. And release. We'll keep the strap handy. We're going to do just caterpillar, which is forward bend with the strap. I'm going to do it from the side so you guys can see me. A lot of us are very stiff, and so maybe it's going to be helpful for you if you feel stiff today to sit up on a blanket or both blankets. So you'll sit up on that blanket, and that will allow you to not round in the low back. It allows you to sit with proper position of the pelvis. Take your strap, loop it around your feet, and we'll start by just sitting up, taking an inhale, and slowly using the strap to pull forward. So take a breath, and with each breath, see if you can fold a little bit further. And just making sure not to judge yourself for any stiffness. Just be where you are. A lot of people give themselves a hard time in this pose specifically because they can't put their head to their knees. Everybody's different. Every day is different. So just be where you are and relax into the stretch, allowing your body to open. And then last few seconds, if you want to take it a little deeper, you can. If you can reach your feet with your hands, you can do that now. And slowly release. And again, just pounding out the feet or the knees, or doing a little bit of windshield wiper to release that work. We're gonna do some ankle mobility next. I've had a lot of requests for it. It's a very deep stretch, so we're not gonna hold it for super long. I'm gonna demo it first. So if you guys can just watch me, I haven't done this in class before, so it's probably new to most of you. We'll start with a yogi toe squat, and that's also not the most comfortable, but it's good for our feet. So I'm gonna I've got the blanket under my knees to just have a little more comfort. Then I'm coming back on my toes and sitting on them. And we'll hold that for a little bit of time. That'll be the first thing. Then we'll pound out our feet to relax that. And then the next thing we do is going to be this ankle stretch. So make sure my ankles, the tops of my feet, are on the blanket so that it's more comfortable. And my knees are, depending on your anatomy, they're either straight forward or a little bit spread out. The pose itself is not the one where we just lean back. We want to lean back and lift our knees up so that we're stretching the tops of the feet and the ankles. But just leaning back flat is a totally different pose that stretches the front of the legs. So I'm going to use my hands and I'm going to tip my knees up and come back. It's a very deep pose. You just hold it for as long as you feel. If I'm holding it for longer and it's too much for you, just come out and come back. You can rock in it, but let's try it. So we'll start with the yoga toe squat, which nobody likes, but it's good for you. So unless you have an arch issue, if you have an arch issue or some problem with your feet, don't do it. Just sit comfortably while we do it. So coming back onto our feet, we'll sit in that. Take a deep breath into the belly, trying to stay still. Another deep breath. And an exhale. And then we'll come out, pound the feet. And then positioning ourselves more forward on the blanket. So the tops of the feet are on the blanket. We're coming down on our knees. So our bottom is sitting on the backs of our feet. You'll place your hands behind and start to lift up your knees as any amount that you can. So it should be a deep stretch in the top of the ankle, deep in the fascia there. Breathing here. Again, if you need to come out, you can. Let's take 2 more breaths. Last breath. And come forward. And let's kick that out again. And so eventually you might try holding that for a little bit longer on your own. It's a good stretch for the ankles. And everybody's been talking about ankle mobility with all the running. So see if I hope that helps. All right, so next stretch we're gonna do is a chest opener. I'm just gonna demo again and then we'll do it together. You have 2 options with the arms. You can have your arm out wide, out like a half T, or you can bend your arm at an angle. Bending your arm is very intense, so only do that if you're feeling super open in the chest. Otherwise, everybody else will put their arm out and then we'll roll over this way so you don't have to look at my back. And that's what we'll do. So let's set up for the first side, laying on your belly, taking your left or right arm. Just note which arm you're on. I've got my left arm out. It's either bent or straight. And then you come over on your side. I forgot to mention, you're totally welcome to prop your head with a pillow if that feels good. So at this point, if you want to deepen the pose, you can kick up the leg and put it back behind you, and that'll give you a little more space or a little bit of a deeper stretch in this pose. And to release, we'll just bring our bellies back to the ground. rolling back. Just place your hands or place your elbows on the ground and just rest your head on them and the arm. And then we'll set up for the other side. So coming with the opposite arm out to the side, either bent or straight, grabbing your pillow so your head can rest on it. And then coming to our sides, just to our sides to start. We start easy and then we can deepen after a little while. And then now if you want to extend that back leg and rotate a little bit further back, you can. Totally optional. And then releasing onto our belly, bending the arms and resting the head. And then coming up to seated, I'm going to demo the next stretch. We're going to do cattail. So I, in cattail, tend to get a little bit stiff on the side when I'm laying for a period of time. So I like to lay a blanket out and lay on the blanket. Again, you want your pillow close so that you can rest your head. And so you come on your side. We start with a hamstring stretch. So you're just pulling, a quad stretch. You're pulling the bottom foot up into the buttocks area. And we start there, just stretching, and then we'll lengthen the top foot all the way out and roll back. That's the third step. So the pillow can be there at first to rest your head, and then you'll want to move it out of the way to come onto your back so that your head is completely on. At this point, if you want to release the leg, the bottom leg, you can, and then you're just focusing more on the twist. Or you could keep it if you're liking that quad stretch. So you'll make that decision. Just know if you release it, it's very difficult to get it back. All right, so we'll set up. Let's go on the right side. Coming onto either your palm or allowing your pillow to grab your head. Grabbing the bottom foot. If you have a hard time grabbing the foot, you can use your strap. You're just breathing here. And then start to walk that top leg forward as far as it'll go. Holding here. And the next step is to revolve backwards. So if you have a pillow under your head, you're going to move it out, bringing the head to the ground and attempting to bring both shoulders onto the ground. And at this point, if you want to release that bottom foot and just stretch the arms out wide like a T or like a cactus. And now slowly releasing, just coming onto your backs. Bring the knees into the chest and just give yourself a hug with the knees or some gentle circles of the knees just to release the stretch. And then we'll set up for the opposite side. So coming onto the right side, or if you want to go to the right, do the left. Stretching along, supporting the head, and then grabbing the bottom foot. And now slowly walking that top foot out. Pausing here. Staying with the breath. And then releasing the head, moving anything out of the way, coming onto our backs. Trying to get both shoulders on the ground. If you want to release the bottom foot, now's your chance. And then slowly unwinding, coming back onto your backs. Again, you can do the knee circles if that was helpful for you, or whatever dynamic movement helps you release the stretch. Or you can just lay in stillness, that's another option. The next pose we're going to do is banana asana, so you can just stay on your backs and I'll talk you through it. If you have the blanket, you might want to move it out of the way unless it's completely long and can support the whole body. So we'll lay on our backs. We're going to make a banana shape with our bodies. So going to the right, walking our feet together all the way to the right, and then picking up our top torso and turning it also to the right. So we're making a curve. And at this point, you can either keep the arms by the body long, or you can stretch them up and overhead, grabbing the elbows, or stretching them long overhead if that feels good. And for the feet, you can cross one way, but you want to make sure that you keep the hips on the ground. So if crossing causes the hips to lift up, just don't cross. And it can be either left over right or right over left. Everybody's different. It's different. Everyone's, so let's see what feels good. I'm gonna hold here for a minute. So staying in stillness, tuning back into the rise and fall of the chest. And slowly start to unwind. If you crossed, uncross and start to walk the feet back to center, bringing the torso back to center, pausing for a moment. And then we'll go to the left. So walk the feet to the left first, as far as they'll go. And then pick up the torso, bring it to the left as well. And then now's your chance to move the arms in a way that feels good. Stretching overhead or leaving them by the side. And then crossing the feet if you want. We're holding for 1 minute here. You guys might hear my dog snoring in the background. If you do, just tune into her breath. I'm hoping it's not too loud. And slowly starting to unwind. Coming back to center with the feet, back to center with the shoulders. Taking an inhale here. Exhaling. And we'll slowly roll up to seated. So the next pose we're going to do is, I'm going to give you two options. It's either deer or pigeon. I'm going to show them both to you quickly. So deer is just a little bit of a gentler pose to pigeon. You take your top foot, just like pigeon where it's bent and the front shin is parallel with the top of the mat. The back knee, instead of extending long like in pigeon, is bent as well. So you're making pretty much a Z shape with your legs. And then that allows our hips to stay on the ground with a little more ease. And then you just fold forward at any amount. Like this is when it's also helpful to have a pillow to rest your head when you come down. Everybody is different, so you may be able to bring your head to the floor, or you may not. You just want to be comfortably set up in it. And then if we're going to take pigeon, you're just bringing the leg back underneath. And if you want pigeon, but you can't quite get your hips on the ground, a good option is to take the blanket and roll it under the hip. And that allows the hips to be also more even on the ground. And then you'll just roll over the front foot and we'll rest in it. So pick your choice and let's get set up. I'm going to set up the clock for it. We're going to hold pigeon for 1 minute, or deer, whichever you choose. So making sure you're comfortable in the upright position, and then we'll slowly fold over. Slowly start to come out. Bringing the legs in front. We'll pound out the knees a little bit. Releasing that. And then taking the opposite side. So do what you did on the opposite. If you did deer, do deer. If you did pigeon, do pigeon. And set up your blanket under your hip if you need it. And then we'll slowly start to fold forward. Start to release, coming back up, bringing the legs out in front again, taking your dynamic movement to release. The next series we'll do is going to be our final little sequence before Shavasana. You'll need your strap. We're continuing with hip work, but let's put the blanket completely on the mat just so it's comfortable to lay on. So the blanket's folded long over the mat. And we'll do figure 4 to Gomukhasana legs to twisted roots. So you just need one blanket, start with it on the left, fold it up like this to catch. And then your strap. I'll demo really quickly. So figure 4 with the strap, we'll bring our knee bent, or ankle on top of the thigh. We start there just with pressing to give ourselves some low back traction. I think that's really nice in the back. And then after that, we'll take our strap. We bring it over the shin and bring the knee into the chest. And this allows us to completely relax in figure 4 without having to grip or grasp. You can grab that strap at any point and pull it deeper while relaxing the shoulders onto the ground. I think it's a really nice way to do figure 4. And then from there, we're going to just slide our legs together deeply like a cross-legged position. And then you can either continue to use the strap or grab your outer shins. This is a deep hip stretch in a little bit of a deeper way. A different way. And then we'll bring the legs over to the side for twisted roots. And it's really nice in twisted roots because it's such a deep twist to be supported in it. So you can fold your blanket at any way that feels the most supported and just allow the legs to rest on that. And that'll allow the back to open in the end. All right, so let's set up for figure 4 with your prep on the left side and your strap. So crossing the right ankle over the left leg, pressing firmly into the tops of the thighs. Just press and give your low back some space here. Breathing into that. One more breath. And we'll release that. Grab the strap, drape it over the shin, and bring the knee up into the chest. And now moving into Gomukhasana legs, just loosely release the strap, cross the legs deeply, and grab the outer shin. If you can't grab your outer shin or your feet, you're just going to drape the strap over again. But you essentially are trying to pull the legs in opposite directions with the feet or the shins to stretch deeply into the hip. Trying to keep the tailbone and the hips on the ground as well. That sacrum is on the ground. Last breath here. We'll bring the arms out to the side like a T, and then you bring the legs over to the left, letting them fall onto your prop. If it feels like it's too deep in the back or the low back, you're just going to uncross the legs and take a simple twist. And now to come out of the pose, you want to uncross your legs so that the knees are just stacking, and then bring the knees up into the chest. Now let's just give our low back a few little circles with the knees. One direction, and switch to the opposite direction of circling. And then we'll set up for the other side. So moving your blanket or your pillow, whatever you use to prop, to the right side. Having the strap handy, we'll cross the right or left ankle over the right leg. And just start again with that low back traction, pressing firmly into the thighs, giving yourself some space. And release, place the strap over the shin, bring the knee into the chest, grabbing the strap wherever you need. And then crossing for Gomukhasana legs, cross like you're at a cocktail party. And then you can just grab the outer shins, the strap, or the feet, and spread the feet in opposite directions. Relaxing there. Stay with it. I just wanted to move Zoe because she was starting to snore louder. And then releasing the arms, bringing the legs over to the right side, letting your prop grab you. And don't hesitate to prop yourself higher if you need it. And then if it's still too much of a twist or too much in the low back, you're just gonna uncross your legs and take a simple twist, which is just knees on top of each other stacked. Slowly start to uncross the legs if they're crossed. Bring the knees back up to center, rolling in the low back again. One direction, and then the other. And then we'll set up for Shavasana. You can roll the blanket under the knees if that feels good. We'll just take a 2-minute Shavasana. If you want to roll under the knees, you just roll your blanket up like a thicker tube. And that's a nice way to relax into the pose. Come down to your backs, tucking the shoulders under slightly so the heart is lifted. Taking a deep inhale into the belly. Open the mouth, exhale, Shavasana. Start to deepen your breath, bringing some subtle movement to your hands and your feet. Bring your knees to your chest. And roll to your right side, coming up very slowly to seated. And then we'll bring our hands to heart center and take one last inhale together and an exhale. Thank you all so much for practicing with me today. Namaste.